Hey there, it is Faith Talk today. I'm Rick Probst, and it is a special day today because it's a day of building hope today, and we are with Food for the Poor. We love the gang at Food for the Poor, and we are with the famous Anitra today. Now, she's so famous that she has one name, like Madonna, like Cher, like Lady Gaga. Well, I'm sorry, that's two names. But either way, it is Anitra. Anitra, welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much, Rick. I always look forward to being with you. And you know, my need for not having a last name is because Anitra is challenge enough. I figure if they can summit that mountain, I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, no need for a last name.
Well, we're glad that you're here, and we always have a great time with you. And we always do something special, don't we? Monumental, life-changing. And this is a little different than the past. This is so cool. It is building the third floor of a hospital in Guatemala, the Guatemala City Pediatric Hospital. And folks that give today on a day of building hope will be a part of building that third floor. Now, $280, we're asking you for that. That gift provides 40 children with access to life-saving medical care, life-saving and life-changing. Now, Anitra's been there to Guatemala, so she knows what's going on there, and that's what I want to know. Describe for us, Anitra, if you will, what you've seen there as far as children needing medical care.
Well, the need is overwhelming. We often talk about the countries where Food for the Poor serves and how the indigenous people, how those below the poverty line are suffering. And yet, this need for healthcare, I think it's hard to unpack as a parent. If your child is sick or injured, born with a chronic condition, or even develops one later, to know that your access to healthcare is almost completely cut off.
Hmm.
Because think of it this way, Guatemala as a whole is a developing nation. So they have both private and public facilities, but certainly not in the robust way we're accustomed to. In Atlanta, there are how many hospital facilities? You have teaching hospitals, you have specialty hospitals, you have pediatric hospitals. If you need a second opinion, it's easy to cross the street and get that specialized care. In Guatemala, even in the capital, Guatemala City, that healthcare is not available to any of the citizens on a consistent basis, let alone those who do not have the money to pay. So think about it. Private hospitals require money. These are families who we've come to you for help just to feed them, to provide fresh water, let alone healthcare. So that door is shut to them. The public facilities, there is an existing pediatric hospital in Guatemala, but it is straining at the walls. I had a chance to tour it. They've converted offices into treatment segments. I mean, they just are not able to welcome the number of children who need care. So the need for this new hospital has been obvious for a while, both because parents and children are treated there without regard to their ability to pay. So don't misunderstand, their medical care is on a sliding scale, and the majority of them will pay nothing. They will pay nothing within this brand new facility. What we're inviting the Faith Talk Atlanta listeners to be a part of is actually constructing this third floor. I mean, I should have sent you a construction hat, because that's what begins everything. Already the first two floors have been funded by government grants, but it's this third floor that remains unfunded, and the entire project is on hold until you give right now.
And this third floor is crucial because not only are children coming from Guatemala, the local area, but from what I understand, other countries as well. They're coming in because there's either low or no health care for those children and families there. And this particular floor, the third floor, will cover pediatrics, cardiology, neurology, infectious diseases, child nutrition, a couple other things. What were those, Anitra, that we went over the other day? A couple of other things that they'll cover.
Ophthalmology, health screening, preventative care. I mean, the 15 clinics that are on this third floor, this is a pediatric hospital. So it's dedicated to the future of Guatemala. And as you mentioned, these surrounding countries. These countries in Central America do not have the advantage of access to specialized care. The staff that will staff this new facility are world class. They are top notch. I mean, intelligent, experienced, compassionate. I mean, this is going to be a beacon of hope, as you mentioned, not just in Guatemala City, not just in Guatemala, but for that whole region of Central America, because already the current facility gets calls every single day, 24/7, with from other facilities where they're saying, we either do not know what the difficulty is for this patient, do not have the facilities or the specialist to treat them, or they don't have a means to pay and we're not able to provide them care until we get payment. None of that is true in this Guatemala City Pediatric Hospital. There is no charge. The staff is top notch, and it covers all of those specialties to make sure this next generation is healthy and has a future.
Hey, if you're listening to us, and I know that you are, and you're watching us as well, this is Faith Talk Today, the weekend edition, and we have Food for the Poor's Anitra with us, and we're raising money to build this third floor. It's crucial because they've got to have it. It's not something, well, you could build 2 floors and let's just forget the third. You've got to have all 3 floors, and we're focusing on the third floor. And we know how Atlanta is. You guys always come up to the plate and knock it out of the park. See what I did there? Because the Braves are doing really well. $280. That's the gift we're asking for. That'll provide 40 children with access to life-saving medical care. $560. Listen, if you can't do this on your own, call your small group, call your Sunday school class, call your church, call your pastor and say, hey, I want to do something here for these kids in Guatemala. It is the Guatemala City Pediatric Hospital there in Guatemala. And we're talking with Anitra from Food for the Poor. All right, we pretty much covered what they will cover, which are needs that they have. Like you say, here in Atlanta, if you have a need, there's several hospitals you can go to, second opinion, third opinion, 10th opinion, but they're not so much. In fact, there are children dying because they do not have the opportunity to get the health care that they need. So let's help them today. Anitra, I know that you've been there. Is there a story you can tell us that you've seen, maybe a child or children or family?
Too many stories to share, but I think of a community, La Niagara. It is high in the mountains of Guatemala. It's several hours journey away, and you actually have to ford 3 rivers in order to get to the community. So for half a year, they are totally cut off unless there's an emergency. And even then, in their attempt to get through the rivers, members of the community have been lost to drowning. I mean, that's how isolated it is. Imagine as a parent, your child sustains an injury, or your child is born with a chronic condition that requires maybe rehab, physical therapy, treatment, medication, all those things that will allow that child to have the best life that they're able to have and were created by God for, is cut off to you. I mean, they're not able to even get to a market, let alone a physician. Then we move from very rural to very urban. I met mothers in Guatemala City in an area called Misco that is very urban. These are mothers who, as for all intents and purposes, are just as isolated. Maybe there aren't 3 rivers standing in their way, but they have no means either to get to a specialist or to care, or the finances to pay for the care. Imagine looking at your child knowing that there's an answer, knowing that with the proper medical help, their lives could be impacted not just for 6 months, but indeed for their lifetime. And yet you do not have the wherewithal to treat them. The reasons we're saying $280 is for 40 children is because experts are projecting that based on the use of the current facility in Guatemala City and the calls that they receive, the number of inquiries they're getting, they expect to see 54,000 children in the first year on that third floor.
Migration.
That's the auditorium, that's the stadium at Georgia Tech. I mean, imagine that stadium filled with children who are going to get life-saving and, as you mentioned, life-transforming medical care. That's what we're inviting you to be a part of. And you can understand why there's an urgency. We don't want one more day to pass before these children and these parents get the care they need.
We're talking with Anitra from Food for the Poor, and together we're helping hurting and sick children in Guatemala by building this third floor. And listen, I know how you guys have been generous in the past. Your compassion is overwhelming. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because I know that we're going to do this. We're going to build this third floor. We're going to see a lot of lives changed. And then the next time we talk to Anitra after this third floor is built, she's going to tell us all kinds of stories of how children were helped because of your compassion, because of your obedience, your faithfulness. We appreciate that. So you can do that today. It's easy. You can text BUILD to 93999. And if you're watching us, you'll see that on the ticker. And you can also go to faithtalkatlanta.com and you can click the red Build Hope banner there. You can call 855-348-4673. Whatever you want to do, it's live. You can give now. And if by chance you say, well, I can't give today, can I give tomorrow or next week? Absolutely. But listen, this is crucial so we can get the numbers and get this third floor built to help these children. All right, let's do it. Our Atlanta audience is always so faithful. Thank you very much. Anitra, good to see you again. It's time to go, and we expect a good report, great news, because we know that the folks that watch us and listen to us have a huge heart. And what would Jesus do, right? Thank you very much. Bless you, Anitra. We appreciate you. Hey, we've got to go. Thank you so much for being a part of a day of building hope. Again, real quick, text BUILD to 93999, faithtalkatlanta.com, 855-348-4673. Thank you, Ezra Ortiz, my amazing producer. We'll see you next week on Faith Talk Today. I'm Rick Probst. Until then, see ya.